What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your review for Love Goes Season 1, Episode 5. So this episode, they dealt with exploring their traumas and understanding how their childhood traumas created the people that they are today, and how that expanded or worked its way into their current relationships. And so what I found so sad, but yet so profound all at the same time, is that all of the women shared a common um, experience of being exploited sexually. Spinderella was molested by a child member. I mean, by a child member, by a family member. Coolio's wife was molested by her grandfather. Um, um, what's the fake? Golly, the football player, his wife, she was molested as a child by her mother's boyfriend. Um, Sunday didn't share with the group, and we'll get to that, but she didn't share with the group. But when she did share, again, she was molested. Now, she was molested by her babysitter, who was a woman, but nevertheless, sexually molested. Now, Althea's sexual exploitation looked different. She was sexually exploited by older men dating her when she was 14, 15 years old. And she said she had her own apartment at 16 years old, which I find to be, I think there's more to that story. I find that to be very interesting. But she paid her bills because she had sugar daddies. So she had these old men, who were preying on this. And Spirit said, did they know how old you were? And she was like, yeah, they knew how old I was. So again, in your mind, you got a boyfriend and he's just a little bit older. You got this older boyfriend that's taking care of you and paying your bills. But at the end of the day, he's still exploiting you sexually, because it ain't nowhere in the world that old ass man's supposed to be dealing with no 16-year-old child. On the flip side, all of the men had a common experience of being involved in drugs and or gangs. And I'm thinking, wow. And these are not people that all came from the hood or anything like that. No, they come from all different parts of the country, all different places. They're generally all in the same age range, but I wouldn't say they're exactly in the same age group. Spin probably being the oldest of the couples, I would think. I mean, I just was like, wow, what have we done to a whole generation? Like, the football player was like, yo, I was a crack baby. Straight up. I was a crack baby. My mama, I was born on crack. You know what I mean? So we're looking at the generation of crack babies. We're looking at that generation and what that did and what they went through. Spinderella's fiance Q, he said he was selling drugs and he was down at the dope house. He went to go open up the slot, and it was his mama on the other side of the door trying to buy some crack. I mean, Coolio, my God, the stuff Coolio has been through, it's a wonder. Listen, now this is gonna be real messed up, but with all the stuff that I just heard, that Coolio done been through, it's a wonder that all he is doing is cheating on his girlfriend. And I'm not saying that makes it okay, but he's been through so much. I mean, he witnessed his mama shoot her boyfriend in defense of him. Of course, he was into the gangs and drugs. He said he fought, he fought all the time because he was proving himself, and it was just crazy. Q said he never joined a gang, not because, you know, he said he never joined a gang because he had to walk through 3 gang territories to get to school every day. So it was really out of self-preservation, because if he chose one, then he was going to get his ass kicked every day going through the other 2 zones. Like, I mean, these are the things so it's a wonder that they even got where they got to. Now, Benzino, he didn't really want to get into it. He said he had a great childhood and he was well loved and everything like that. And we know in the past that Benzino has been open about, you know, some things that has happened in his past with growing up with his family and stuff like that. But in that moment, for whatever reason, he wasn't really willing to share. And Althea did something that I thought was so disrespectful. And I was so pissed off, and so was Spirit. Oh, she was hot. Althea's going to turn to him and say, didn't you say that your father made you sell drugs? And of course, it set Benzino off, and it should have set Benzino off. You don't get to tell my story. And Spirit sort of ended the session, because I'm not gonna get into all of the ins and outs. And one thing I do want to bring up, specifically with the football player's wife, one of her big issues is the fact that he has so many men in and out of that house. And once she explained about her childhood trauma and she connected it to her fear, she said, I know that these are good guys. Like, I am not accusing any of his friends of anything. But what I also know is that my mother trusted her boyfriend. And I have a little girl, and when I see her running around the house sometime with no bottom, with no pants on, just in her diaper or whatever, and I see one of his friends pick her up, it makes me cringe. Not because I think that any of his friends would do anything to my child, but it makes me cringe, just that vision, because it takes me back to being abused. It takes me back to, I was abused by somebody that was trusted. And I'm like, wow, it's deep, it's not just about you, and I don't even think she realized how deeply and how deep and how connected it was until that moment. And so, that was the one thing I did that was really deep for me. But getting back to Miss Althea and Benzino, so she ended the session and she went to talk to Althea, and she told her, you are wrong. You were out of order. And she was like, but he's not being real. He's not being real. And she was like, but you don't get to, in that moment, that was his reality. You don't get to tell his story. And that's a violation of y'all's trust, because that's something he told you. You don't get to tell his story. You don't get to relate how you think he should relate his story. And if he wasn't in a place to share with us all of the ins and the outs, that's on him. You can't make him tell us. And so, I don't know if Althea got it or not. But see, that's that bullshit. I be trying. So, of course, Benzino shut down. And again, like I said, he should have. I felt it. Now, Sunday did not want to share in front of the group. And again, it's your story to tell, Sunday. A part of me was like, well, if you're not there to participate, then why are you there? But then I also understand, too, that it's a lot to tell someone about childhood traumas, especially in a group of people that you don't know that well, and you're sharing something, and you got cameras and stuff. Like, I get it, and we know that Sunday is a very blocked off person anyway, and once again, we understand why. You're dealing with childhood traumas that, again, are putting you in a mindset where you don't want to share, so the one thing that all of these couples definitely have these things in common. They have these common traumas now, and I think it has helped. Even if it didn't help the individual that was sharing, I think it helped the group as a whole for everybody to just understand. Because even in Q's situation, he said she shared more in the group that he was like, I knew about what happened to her, but I didn't know as many of the details. And she even opened up a little bit more and gave a little bit more. But you could tell Spin didn't really want to say a whole lot. And I'm thinking it. This is just me guessing, child. I'm thinking that part of that probably would go back to, she said it was a family friend, and I'm thinking that person is probably still alive. And she said she never really said anything, and I think that probably has a lot to do with it. Again, that's my 2 cents, but I think that probably has something to do with it, Anyway, you guys, it wasn't really a whole lot more to it, Next week, I guess we're gonna get into some other exercises, but that was the main exercise of this one. Like I said, that Althea and Benzino, I told you I'm not giving them no whole lot of energy, but I did have to mention that because I thought that was real fucked up that Althea did that. And she could sit there and cry with the therapist all she wants. I think at the end of the day, what her reason for doing that was out of spite and out of nastiness, and I don't believe that it came from anywhere else. Sorry, I don't. I don't believe it came from anywhere else. Anyway, let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.